Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the 2025 Jeep Avenger. Now, if you're not familiar with the Jeep Avenger, there's a reason why. You've probably never even heard of it. It's actually a vehicle that started over production about a year and a half ago in Europe and has dominated the subcompact market over there. And it's being rolled out as a global Jeep. However, it's never been planned to make its debut in North America. And the reason why is it's considered a very, very small SUV. This is a B segment SUV, and this one, it actually comes in, it's like a little bit smaller than the Renegade. So for North America, a lot of people think it's too small, but recently, Stellantis management has been kind of talking about maybe bringing it here because they need more affordable Jeeps. So, I mean, there's a lot of questions going on with this thing. So every once in a while, I like to go on to the United States Patent Trademark Office website and research stuff for Mopar insiders. And I came across some patent drawings for the Jeep Avenger, which is kind of weird. Well, let's take a look at them real quick. So if you look here, this patent was granted on March 11th, 2025. And you can see that the design team in Turin designed the Avenger. And it was granted to FCA US in Auburn Hills for 15 years. But it was filed back in February 9th of 2023. Now, what makes this weird is the fact that usually, like, there's a 99% occurrence when Stellantis, like, files a patent drawing. It's just for vehicles that are coming here to market. Now, for example, they would file the same thing with a patent trademark office over in Europe because it's being sold there. But it's very rare that we see vehicles that aren't being sold unless they're like concept cars, obviously. And obviously the Avenger is not a concept car. But it's very rare that we see a European or some other market vehicle actually have patent drawings for it put into the USPTO. And that usually means that it's coming here. Like sometimes we'll see like Alfa Romeo stuff, but usually it's either concept or it's stuff that's actually in production here. So again, it's really weird. We get patent drawings for pretty much every angle of the vehicle, and you can kind of see they're sideways, but nonetheless, we get all the drawings for them. And yeah, it's just weird because usually, again, they don't do that for vehicles that aren't sold here. I talked about this on Mopar Insiders the other day, and it's really interesting because, again, the president of Stellantis Canada was actually, what's his name, Jeff Hines, was actually talking about maybe the possibility of bringing it to North America because people have been looking for an affordable Jeep. There's only one problem with the Avenger. Okay, it's been selling like hotcakes over in Europe. Actually, it's done so well in Europe, this one model outsold the entire Alfa Romeo brand worldwide. That's how good this thing is selling. So they've rolled it out to Korea. They've rolled it out to Japan. It's going to Australia. It's going even to South America. So it's going global for sure. And it's built in Poland. But the thing is, here, if you look, this is a multi-energy platform. So what this platform is it's called the Common Modular Platform, the CMP platform. And it's basically a PSA or Peugeot platform. But they have kind of adapted it for Jeep purposes. And the reason why is because these platforms were basically front-wheel drive only. So when this vehicle launched, it was a BEV, a battery electric vehicle only. So it was called the Jeep Avenger E. And again, front-wheel drive, and a lot of people were kind of upset that obviously it didn't have 4x4 capability. But when they launched this vehicle, they actually teased us with a 4xe model. Then they came out with an E hybrid. So basically, if you wanted to have, because again, there's a lot of pushback against EVs, they wanted to offer a hybrid model. So they offered an E hybrid. So basically, it's got a hybrid electric motor in it. So it runs on electric power at very slow speeds. That model took off. And then in certain markets that are pushing back against EVs big time, like Italy, Germany, and even the UK, they offer an ICE model. And that is a very small displacement engine. That's a 1.2 liter turbocharged inline 3. So if you're actually looking at what power plants could come here, it's going to be really weird because if you go all electric, if you figure out like the price of what one of these Avenger E's go for, it's like in the $40,000 range. And to me, that's too pricey for the North American market for what it is. If you look at, the 3-cylinder model, you're looking at about $25,000, $26,000, which would be right on par. But I don't know how many people would want a 3-cylinder engine. Now, again, the Chevy Trax is a huge seller here. It's a little bit bigger. It's actually a C segment vehicle compared to this being a B segment vehicle, but that has 3-cylinder power, and it seems to sell well. So who knows? But they are definitely looking at bringing this vehicle to North America if they can. Another thing is they do offer a 4xe model, which has really taken off, and basically that offers that 1.2 liter turbocharged inline 3, but offers a hybrid system. So it does have all-wheel drive capability. It's not the most trail rated vehicle. Obviously, it's not rated for the trail, but again, all-wheel drive capability for all weather. So it sounds like it's a pretty good deal. Again, cost, I mean, you're looking at close to $40,000. So I don't know necessarily if that model would come here. If they're going to bring it, they're going to bring a stripped down model. I don't see them bringing a full lineup of these to the North American market because it's compared to North American vehicles, these would be too overpriced, like some of the trims. But nonetheless, it's very interesting that these patents would go on to the USPTO. Now, there could be other reasons why. It's not a guaranteed thing saying that Stellantis is actually bringing this vehicle or not. Now, a lot of times when they do stuff like this, it's mainly for marketing or let's say even merchandising, because obviously Jeep makes a lot of money on merchandising. So right here, if you look, I have a Matchbox car that is the Jeep Avenger. And matter of fact, here's a blue one that just came out recently. So they do have these vehicles out on the US market in toys and that could be one of the reasons why. But not all Stellantis vehicles are in the USPTO. So we do have Citroen vehicles and stuff that are Matchbox related, Hot Wheels related, and they're not in the USPTO. So it's just kind of weird that this would happen this way, but it might show us that, they have been hinting that maybe about bringing it here. It'll just be a very interesting thing to look at. Jeff Hines isn't the only one, the Stellantis president for Canada. He's not the only one that's been talking about this. Bob Bordendorf, who's the new Jeep CEO, was even talking about how attractive this vehicle is in real life and how it actually might be a good fit here in North America if priced right. So again, this isn't a guaranteed thing that it's coming, but it's very interesting that this happened. So take it as it is. The Avenger nonetheless is a cool vehicle. It's a very small vehicle. Obviously, for a guy like me who's 6'1" and over 300 pounds, it would not be a vehicle for me. But if you're looking for your first Jeep, or you're a college kid, or you're just a single parent looking for something cheap to get to point A from point A to point B, this might be your way to get into a Jeep vehicle. So if it's priced right, it might be really good for the Jeep brand, because obviously the only Jeep vehicle right now under $30,000 is the Jeep Compass. And the Jeep Compass Sport is really the only trim that is actually under $30,000. Now, Jeep says, hey, we offer a Compass Latitude model, but that doesn't include destination. If you include the destination price without any options, you're looking at $31,000. So no matter what, you're paying over $30,000 for it. The only Jeep that you can get that's under $30,000 is the Jeep Compass Sport, and that's with no options. So Jeep needs to do something. They're not the same kind of brand that we had 20 years ago. Jeep has become this kind of premium adventure brand. And it was never like that. It was kind of like, hey, we build vehicles for everybody. You might remember back in 2007, everybody complained when they built the Jeep Patriot and the Jeep Compass, the original Jeep Compass. They weren't that attractive looking, but they had little 4-cylinder engines, 4-wheel drive capability, and a lot of people bought them because they were basically appliance vehicles that were, I'm buying into the Jeep brand, but I can afford these things because they were in the low 20s. So this might be that same kind of formula. I mean, you look at Wranglers and stuff, you go to buy a 2-door Wrangler, like a 2-door Wrangler Willys, by the time you pay destination and stuff, you're over $50,000. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So Jeep really needs to do something with their pricing. They've been working on it. I mean, we've seen like $7,000 off of the Wagoneer, which really isn't much considering how much that vehicle is priced. We've seen them mess with the Grand Cherokee pricing. We've seen them mess with the Compass pricing a little bit, and definitely Gladiator, because Gladiator sales have just tanked. So Jeep is trying to do something to really boost their market here. You got to remember, a few years ago, they were pushing almost 1 million units just in the US, and now they're about 600,000. That's a huge fall off. Huge. You're looking at almost half. So they need to do something, and the Avenger might be an important piece of the puzzle if they can bring it here affordably. Now, keep in mind, too, on top of this, Jeep is also has actually said that they're going to bring an all-electric Jeep Renegade in 2027 to North America under with a starting price of $25,000. Now, that's kind of questionable, because I don't think that they'll be able to meet that $25,000 price mark, mainly because of inflation and stuff. I think it'll be more realistically $30,000. But if the Avenger can come here with 3-cylinder power, be just a basic vehicle for 25 grand, I think they would sell a ton of them to people that, like, you know, college kids, you know, single people. I think they would do really, really good. Now, the Avenger is a 4-door. But you got to remember, it's very small. It's very cool. It's very edgy. It's very Jeep. But it's very small. So, anyways, just something to keep in mind. I figured it'd be kind of cool to talk about. It's just something that's kind of out there, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense of why it's on the USPTO website. So, yeah, it's one of those things that's kind of fluttering in the background that no one's talking about. So if you have any questions about the Jeep Avenger, leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer them. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.